The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 5th day of November 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talks. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Maya Palacio. And it's election day in the U.S. How's everybody feeling today? Maya, how are you feeling today?
You know, I got a lot of emotions actually about the whole situation. I think maybe in some parts I was like trying to suppress it, not trying to remember the day of it actually, because I just know like we've been talking on the show, and I'm sure everyone's been talking individually with their friends. It's just like something's gonna happen today, and then an outcome will occur, positive, negative, everything all around. It doesn't matter. Something with the people is going to happen today. It's not just probably when I speak it into existence, and I believe in those things, but things have already been set in play.
Well, as of 3 minutes ago, the polls are now open on the East Coast, most places, I think at 7 a.m. So, it's going to be interesting. So, you know what? We're going to follow up with that and talk about that today. But greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today. I believe we will see if we'll be welcoming Detective Chief Inspector Jason Smith of the Bermuda Police Service on this morning. So, to discuss cybercrime, but we'll keep you posted on that. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Fill out our survey. We got a lot of people yesterday, so that's good. So keep it coming. We'll share the link again. Fill out the survey. Your responses are helpful for us. Gives Maya and I more work. Well, mainly Maya, if you say the wrong thing. Sometimes we vote against ourselves. But anyway, fill it out for us. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Let's jump into today's conversation. David Michael Wilson, he says, it's a Tuesday, TDH fam and crew. Let's choose this day to be great. I mean, you've got Suzanne Ingham, awesome Tuesday. Jamal and Maya, so glad to see you both. I love my TDH team. We love you too, Suzanne. So let's jump into it. Look, it's U.S. election day. What's that old saying people say in Bermuda? When the U.S. sneezes, Bermuda catches a cold or something like that? That's how it goes?
Yeah.
I said it right?
Yeah, you said it right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Stop second questioning yourself, Jamal. Just go with C. I think we know. Let's just use international business, right? We know that what happens in other jurisdictions politically does impact smaller jurisdictions like Bermuda. It's interesting because though we're a British territory, many will say that we're more likely impacted by what happens in the U.S. due to our proximity to the country and trade and the like. So I do think that, as Bermudians, I understand why we are so, focused on what happens in U.S. elections. My only concern sometimes when I tell people is, I know a lot of crazy things or it may be happening in the U.S., but it's important not to ignore what's happening on your own shores. But that said, the question of the morning, audience, is what are your thoughts on the U.S. presidential election? But before you even answer that, who do you believe will win the U.S. presidential election? Who do you believe will win? Not who you want to win. That's a different question. But who do you believe will win the U.S. presidential election? Like there's obviously the two front runners. They're basically in a dead heat, according to most pollsters, are former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. Who do you think will win the U.S. presidential election? Maya, have you followed it?
I've only followed bits and pieces. I wish I was into it more, but I feel like I know more than I think I do. Like, because of the things I've read, what people have sent me, and like just also the many people that I follow online because of politics, because of news, and it coming to me that way. So I feel like I'm not even actively like searching myself, but it's already just in my face all the time, and I'm able to like read and go through. But for the most part, I will say this. It's like what you said. I think you mentioned it last week on the show. The fact that there were so many people that actually showed up to the early polling stations this time. And I believe I did read somewhere that even right now, currently, I think almost 80 million people showed up for early voting in the states.
It was a lot. Yeah,
it was quite a bit. And I thought about that, and I thought about like even what Taj said the other day on the show, how sometimes politicians don't engage the younger generation, but because of the major influences of all these celebrities, like speaking up, especially for Kamala Harris, like so many more young voters have, registered, have gone out, have voted as well. And there's just this new dynamic that we kind of see in politics and through social media and how it's being used. I don't think I've ever seen so many like names, like even Beyonce coming out and saying something, because she doesn't necessarily even say anything on a lot of political issues. And I was just like, that's interesting as well to even see that and what influence she has to make it. So at one point I was probably thinking, even if I was like, well, Trump does have this huge following, he has made this big name for himself, and he definitely has people that will lean for him no matter what. But Kamala Harris, she has a lot of history on her side. I think she has a lot of what I know my people in community would want to see happen more of. So it's just to me that it's close. It doesn't shock me that it's close, but it's also just like, oh.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting race. It's an interesting race. They are complete opposites. Complete opposites. I think one of the. It's interesting you mentioned a lot of celebrities. I think that's what's annoyed a lot of Black people who have issues with the Democratic Party, is that, Malcolm X told us, right? Why is it white folks, they don't throw out celebrities like in front of them? Why are the leaders in our community always, musicians and comedians and artists? And I understand that. But the truth is, that's what captures a lot of people's attention, right? Donald Trump, on the other hand, has a different tactic where he's using his people like Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard, what's his name? Robert Kennedy, I believe his name is, that was on the ballot. A complete opposite, like people who specialize. For instance, Elon is a businessman. Robert F. Kennedy talking about removing fluoride from water. Tulsi, former Democratic Congresswoman, I believe. So I think that they're taking two different approaches. From a Bermuda context, tell me if I'm wrong, audience, but I think economically, for years, Bermuda always benefited, it seemed, from Republican presidents from a tax perspective, because, the rich do what they do, right? The Republicans have, really always protected the rich, and kind of had this trickle-down economics thing going on. I'd like to hear from the audience to see who do you think will benefit Bermuda more, but who do you believe will win? Let's go to the audience. Who do you believe will win? Shamari Talbot Woolridge says Trump. He said he looks likely to win. David Michael Wilson says, believe likely Trump, want Harris. Shika Reyna says, I can't the stress today. Shika, are you able to vote? I'm getting in your business. Are you eligible? Because we know some people who live in the U.S. for a long time ain't eligible. I'm just asking. But because you're in a swing state. Shika. she shared on the show where she is. So that's why I'm saying she's in swing state. Hadley and Swan says Kamala for the win. So is that who you want to win or who you think will win? David Michael Wilson says, I don't think the U.S. is ready for a woman president. I don't agree with that. I don't. I think they would vote for a woman. They voted for a woman VP. Misha Fabla says, I would argue that Musk and RK Jr. are celebrities too. Harris has Mark Cuban supporting her too. When I said celebrities, I meant entertainers, not. That's why I said singers and comedians, as Malcolm X said. These are people that Trump's literally said he would. I mean, I think Elon Musk is the scum of the earth. Let me just be very clear. White South African who benefited greatly from apartheid South Africa. I have so many issues with what he's doing. Literally using a platform to drive untruths. I'm gonna have to take Maya's lead, and I said I'm gonna delete Twitter off my phone, but it's just my sports, man. Like that's my place where I got sports updates. And I mean, I was a guy who went on ESPN daily, and I just going on websites versus getting quick access. That's what kept me there. Now, can any other apps give me sports so quickly? Mind you, sports depresses me anyway, man. Sheikah says she early voted. This is something I wanted to bring up with you, Maya, and Taj yesterday too. You know, remember we were talking about someone in the audience asked about absentee voting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know Bermuda has like not an early vote day in terms of like if you're traveling or people who are unable to come on election day, they can vote in advance.
Mm-hmm.
But I wondered if something like this would be helpful in Bermuda to get more people participating, like have like a full week of early voting before election day. I wonder if that should, because I'm telling you, man, I ain't never voted on the election day in the US in my 2 elections. I don't plan on it. I don't have the patience. Unless they got global entry for voting lines, I'm not doing it.
I think also because last night I had a conversation with Mark Bean and he mentioned it too, just the fact that like he would love for other Bermudians who are not on island to still have a chance to vote in the general election, whether it be yourself, Jamal, or even myself out here currently in Toronto. And so when you guys brought that up and Taj mentioned it, I was like, this is something that, we don't have. And like, again, reiterating what Taj said with you and Perry the other day, it's like not everyone can fly back for these things, especially in university, especially in school. They ain't got the money to do it, even though they want to take part. And then a lot of times we say that the younger generation doesn't care. Like Taj is, again, he's very politically involved, but there are a lot of instances where he can't even be involved because he's not on island. So in that way, and reiterating his words, Bermuda's sort of still stuck in the 1980s.
Yeah. And I think it's by design, though. I think it's by design. Misha Fabla says Trump has Kid Rock and God Bless the USA guy. His celebrities are a bit more B-list than Dems. But I think, I mean, I don't want that become topic of conversation. When you look at both, legit, the Dems have rolled out. I mean, from Oprah to Cardi B to like it's no comparison. Is what I'm saying as far as entertainers and you know delight. I mean, it's no comparison. I'm not saying Trump had none, but literally 90% of Kamala Harris's in front of us, put in our face, were entertainers. I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear from a comedian or entertainer if they've never done anything for me that I believe is worth following. I'm voting based on policy. I'm reading platforms. That's just me, but it may work for other people. We'll see today. We'll see.
I think it definitely allows other people, like young people, to actually get involved in it. That's for sure. Because like just hearing from these politicians and things like that, like probably not going to even encourage any young person to go online and check it out. Not the majority, some yes, but not the majority. And so having those spaces, at least, hopefully that people don't just see it and vote, but also see it and get involved just because they see it as well. So not like being the ultimate decision, well, because so and so does it, I'll do it. But at least because so and so does it, I'll at least get into it. I'll at least get involved and like try to understand it. But going back to like what you believe in the U.S. presidential election and your thoughts on it, like I talked about before, when they like overturned Roe v. Wade and how that would like trickle down and affect Bermuda, there's so many laws that Bermuda does sort of like follow and look into within our own, constitute within our own democracy. Because even when we talk about it in the House, they sometimes bring through pinpoints from, or this state is doing this, and this country's doing that, and this country's doing that. So justifying how we should do
Mhm.
things here. So that's like a big thing when it
Right.
comes to how we kind of implement our laws and how we also, or in the House, they justify the laws by how it's being worked in other places. So
Mhm.
that's something to also just like
Yep.
be mindful of how it affects the island, because it's not just some distant thing. You know, Roe v. Wade, as I talked about before, when it came to those things, can be detrimental to comedians who maybe can't
Yep.
access the healthcare of something that they may need here on the island,
Mhm.
and or even privacy that they would like here on the island to go away and be able to accomplish something to get it done, and maybe now they cannot, and it's not an
Mhm.
easy route any longer.
Mhm.
So it's just like things like that do come into effect.
Yeah, indeed, and that's a good point. Thank you so much. And I hope you understood what Maya said right there, folks. Like, it's and I say this respectfully. I don't think the United States politically, legislatively should be the moral barometer for Bermuda, but unfortunately, countries like the U.S. are used as that. So I'm glad Maya brought that up. Just because they do it here doesn't mean we should do it here. There, right? Let's go back to the audience. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, I have no idea who will win, but I agree with Maya that we will have to deal with the good and bad of their presidency. I mean, we have no other choice, right? Suzanne Ingham says, no matter who wins, I think there's going to be big trouble, chaos. Well, as I said on X last night, I think I was pretty confident that Donald Trump would win in 2016. And I was very confident that Joe Biden would win in 2020 due to everything with the pandemic and the like. But I honestly can't call this because it's so close. Every day you wake up. And one of the things that someone said on the news last night is said the reason everyone's calling it so close is because pollsters get paid for their data, right? They get paid. And no one wants to be wrong in this one. So they're literally all keeping it within, a certain distance so that they don't come out looking crazy, right? But as one news report said this morning, I'm not watching the news this morning, it's still possible that someone may win in a landslide the way the electoral college works. It's still possible. Like it is possible that there will be like someone will land right on the 270 electoral college votes, but it's still possible that someone could end up with 319. Right. So it's a funny thing. It shouldn't be funny. This is real life, right? This is real life. I mean, these are serious. Look, at the end of the day, I agree. My hope, my honest hope for us is that, and Maya kind of said it to me in a different way. I don't want to quote her wrong, but we need to learn to survive and succeed and support ourselves regardless of who the government of the day is. That's just the reality. I understand that we need policies to ensure our safety and our ability to live. Don't get me wrong. We do. It's none of you all business, but yeah, the Roe vs. Wade was a big thing for me. And I understand people who have, they get involved because of certain issues. But we still need to find a way, because regardless of what the result is after today, folks, as I said, if Trump loses, he will not accept the result. Why? Because Elon Musk and people on X are sharing skewed poll results that have making everybody on X believe that Donald Trump's going to wipe the floor. And when it doesn't happen, they already got in their head that he was cheated. On the other side, if Harris doesn't win, the Democrats are going to blame one particular group. We know who that is, right? One particular group they're going to focus on, which only represents 6% of American people, if even eligible to vote, right? Due to criminal records and the like. But they only have themselves to blame. So it's going to be a circus. It's going to be a circus. And I will say, you can quote me on this. I don't know if Bermuda's throne speech is this week or next week. But my prediction is that the Premier of Bermuda is watching very closely to the results of the U.S. election. And I think he may actually drop that writ upon that throne speech, depending. Misha, talking to you, depending on the result of the U.S. presidential election. I think so. He's watching. He's watching. Charles H. Jefferson II says, in a true democracy, we should be looking for more ways to allow people to exercise the right to vote. Well, Bermuda doesn't have a true democracy. We have to get things signed off by His Excellency, Her Excellency via the King. Charles H. Jefferson II says Trump's rhetoric has forced some of the celebrities to come out in support of Harris. Taylor Swift. I was going to mention Taylor Swift as well. Yeah. Cardi B and J-Lo. I think Taylor Swift, and don't yell down my throat.
Okay, go ahead.
Probably the biggest endorsement that she could have gotten.
Well, the thing is, I feel like she had to come out because of the fact that I don't know if it was AI or whatever it was that was posted on Trump's, but it made it seem like she was in favor of Trump. And yeah, I mean, she said it in like countless other different interviews. I've watched some things with her. It's just like she's always been like pulled between whether or not to like speak on it and touch on it. But yeah, that I think that really kicked her to speak on it and come forward and make it clear who she's in favor for because of that.
It's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. Folks, I'm not sure if we're going to have Jason Smith. We don't have anyone backstage on camera or anything, so we may reschedule that. Let's go we've got Shawnette Bell says, in Orlando right now, I will be following closely. Not sure who will win, but do hope that Kamala wins. Okay. In Orlando. Well, Florida's no longer a swing state. I mean, they're red at this point. I mean, yeah, they've done some things down there to make sure that stays red. Suzanne Ingham says, yes, I think you're right, Jamel. Watching and the writ is ready. Talking about David Burt. Misha Fabla says, I hope not. I still have a lot more ground to cover and see dirty. I don't know. I mean, I said that on the back of what Maya said, because I do think that we do a lot of stuff based on what's happening in other jurisdictions. And, the premier of Bermuda is not my favorite person, but you all know he's not a dummy. He's not a dumb guy. I think as far as politics, I would think he's as intelligent as Sir John Swan. Sir John Swan will call a snap election like that and catch you while can I say while your pants are down? But catch you off guard. How's that? That's more child friendly.
I mean, you said both, but yeah.
Oh, I did, didn't it? I'm sorry. I take the first one back. I can't take it back. No rewinds. All right, folks. Just to answer one more quickly. Maya's got to do the news break. Who do you believe will win the U.S. presidential election? All you know is Trump or Harris. Trump or Harris. Trump or Harris. Or Harris or Trump. H comes before T. Who do you think will win? Harris or Trump? Who do you think? Yeah, like Maya, did you give a prediction?
I gave a I gave a very journalistic prediction, but you know what? If I'm going to be opinionated for this one, but also I put some thought into this from what I've been seeing.
Yeah, you shared your thoughts.
Yeah, I shared my thoughts on it. I think the facts that are coming through. I'm going to go for Kamala.
Okay. All right. Is it fair for me to say I still don't know? I can't call it.
That's fine if you really no, but I'm feeling that it's going to lean that way. I do. Even if some things are showing that might not, but I just think that because of the amount that I'm seeing of that type of support, but again, that's what falls on my page. That's the thing about also getting things from social media. Sometimes it does reflect what you want to see more of, and it shows you that versus the other. So I'm also cautious about that too. But even reading in the news and seeing how close things are, but knowing that it could still be a landslide, it's okay to not be sure and be I don't know. But I'm also a big fan of speaking things into existence. So I'm gonna say Kamala.
You know what, Maya? Before we go into news break, I know Sister Sandra already said it to you privately. That she's so proud of you and this, that, and the other. But I'm gonna say what I said to you privately, publicly right now. I always tell people when they talk about the Daily Hour and this show, I ain't a journalist. I have way too much respect for journalists and what they do. I cannot, it's a pet peeve when people say, oh, I'd like to come on the Daily Hour for an interview, or such and such for an interview, this, that, or the other. I don't do interviews. That's not what I do. I have conversations, I facilitate. And I think if people watched your conversation with Mark Bean last night, they will understand the difference. Maya has a lot of integrity in doing this. She knows she hasn't spoken to Walter a bit. No, we're going to, whatever. Me? Yeah, man, let's chat shop about it. And because that's who I am. I'm not a journalist. What? Like, it's like Joe Rogan. He's not a journalist. I think we literally give anybody with a mic or a pen the title of journalist. No. And that's why I want people to manage their expectations when it comes to me. I don't interview people. Mia, Sancha, Perry, they don't interview people. We have conversations with people. And I want people to understand the difference so that they can manage their expectations. If you want to see a journalist in action, go watch Maya's conversation with the Honorable Mark Bean last night. You'll get what I'm saying. Because me, I'm sitting there, I'm entertained, I'm laughing. Maya, man, the straight, I was like, dang, she good at this. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say that was amazing conversation. It was I really respect and appreciate what you do. I know it's not easy, and I think you take what you do very seriously, and people who understand it will appreciate it. Not just today, but in years to come, when you go back on the social media, YouTube or whatever, and see the conversations, I think people will really come with it. Somebody asking, where do you find the interview, Maya?
You could go right on my YouTube channel. It's up there, Media Maya. If you just type that in on YouTube, it should be right there. You can type in Media Maya Mark B and it should show right up.
Oh, it was a classic, folks. It was a classic. Yeah, it was a classic. And real quickly, yeah, I did vote. I voted last Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah,
last
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I voted. Yeah. All right, Maya, you want to do the news break?
Yes.
She wants to do the news break, folks. Let's get to the news break. Where's Maya's intro music?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News Break brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. Everyone would have heard the devastating news of the loss of life of a 19-year-old. Well, the Bermuda Police Service has now confirmed the death of 19-year-old Dimitri Edwards, who was seriously injured and reported two-vehicle collision involving a motorcycle and a truck that happened on November the 1st. Despite all life-saving efforts, Dimitri was later that day pronounced dead at the hospital, and the Bermuda Police Service extends sincere condolences to family and friends. The BPS liaison officer has been providing relevant support to the family as well of Mr. Edwards. Again, if you witness this matter, if you know anything about it, still come forward and contact the police. You can call 717-2123. That is for Mr. Rollins of the police unit. You can also call 211 or speak with the officer whom you know as well.
You're very low, Maya. I couldn't hear anything you said just now. But I think we got it. And along with Kathy Rogers, want to send sincere condolences to the entire family. And now that his name's been announced, I know we've had his mother on the show in the past, who's a very close friend of our colleague, Sherry, and also Karen Simmons, who's the aunt of the young victim, who is one of our greatest supporters. And honestly, I just want to wrap my arms around her. It's very unfortunate, as you were speaking with Mark Bean last night, and he said that, he was his godson. And the emotion, again, speaking about Maya's professionalism, but the emotion, you saw how the conversation changed and it just became even more authentic between the two of you. I think the lesson in this is that we are a community of people, very close-knit. And the unfortunate part of being that small community of people is that we're gonna have to deal with stuff like this regularly. And I guess at this point, all we can do is try to love on each other so hard and ensure that people know that they're loved and that we care about them and we're here for them, because our lives can change so quickly. The devastation that a parent must feel to get a call like that, I can't imagine it. And in saying that, I again, if I could, I actually am heading to Kenya next week with the uncle and first cousin of the victim as well. So I didn't have the opportunity to meet him, but that doesn't mean that I can't mourn with the relatives. So I just want to send again, Karen Simmons, to you and your family, a lot of love, a lot of love. And we are very sorry to hear this.
Yeah, it definitely rocks a family, it rocks the community, it changes your life completely. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be the same for a parent to lose their child.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my grandma was the one who said it. Someone told me it was just like that's like the worst fear. No parent should ever have to bury their child.
Indeed.
It's yeah. And just to follow up what you said, there was a conversation that Mark Bean and I did end up going on about for a bit during our interview, and I actually have just a small clip here as it was his godson, so I'm just going to share it with the audience here.
I can't even say anything to one of my best friends right now because the pain that he has only could require me to be silent. And when I get to see him, I'm just going to hold him and comfort him. All right. Now, the way his family and what his family are going through right now, there are so many other families who have been through it before. Our young people are being lost for a multitude of reasons. And whatever the reason it is, the pain remains the same for those who they leave behind.
Yeah. I echo everything he said. And I'd encourage people, please watch that conversation with Maya and Mark, because it was probably one of the most authentic conversations you'll have between a journalist and politician. And I don't want to put him in that box, but it was very authentic, especially as you got to that point.
Yeah, that there's always a moment where even when you have, whether it be in life, disagreeable things with somebody, or maybe not agree, or even if you do agree on things, whatever the case is, something like this really hits a point of humanity and just of we're people.
Yeah.
We're people. So that was definitely a moment within that conversation. And again, my sincerest condolences to the family, because this is not an easy road and it's never ending.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, in more related news to the interview that I had with Mark and talking about coalitions was also a big topic point of it. So he actually went on to say something that I think would interest a lot of people when it comes to the idea of coalition, his reasoning for it, and what he is willing to do to actually achieve it.
For the sake of this country, I'm quite willing to step aside as the leader of the FDM for a coalition government, or if there was a need for anything else beyond the coalition government, because a coalition can be frail because of these different ideas and whatnot, and it might be more effectual for everyone to come under one umbrella. I would be quite willing to step aside as the leader of the FDM if that was the case. I do though encourage, if it was to become under one umbrella, that umbrella would be the Free Democratic Movement. You know why? Because the OBA and the independents, they have one stigma that's attached to them, which actually paralyzes them politically. Anytime it's raised, it just shuts them down. They have no response. And that is something that the PLP utilize whenever it's necessary. And we call it in Bermuda, call it the race card.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to disagree with what he just said. But I think he also said something last night that I've been saying for a while, like ego, right? The only way to defeat the PLP in the polls is if the others put ego aside. I was happy to hear him say he would step aside if it was in the best interest. But I do understand him about the FDM in terms of legacy. They don't have that legacy the OBA have that people will tie to them. So I actually echoed a lot of what he said, and that's what I'm saying. I'd have been like, yeah, actually, I'd have took a different position. It would have, yeah.
Would change things for you. All right. Well, in other news, and this is coming from the Minister of Oman, because if you didn't know, there has been a guest on the island right now, and that being the visit from His Excellency Jose Manuel Valerio, the president of the Azores, has joined Bermuda in celebrating the 175th anniversary of the first Portuguese immigrants arriving on the island. So a photo that you see there, he was with a couple of ministers, also the governor as well, and the opposition leader, and they're talking about environment and cultural connections as well. In this image that you see right now, he was actually with the city of Hamilton as well, being honored in a very like impromptu meeting as well, as they talked about Bermuda's culture, social landscape, and just the economic focus point of our histories together.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
I've been enjoying her final days in Bermuda. Look at her.
I'll tell you. Now, in our sports-related news, Rhode Island FC won its first ever playoff match on Sunday, defeating the Indy 11s 3-2. As many of you may very well know, Rhode Island Football Club is home to Bermuda's Keno Smith, who is the first head coach and general manager in Rhode Island FC history, and he was appointed back in 2023 as well. So this win over the Indy 11s was RIFC's first in 3 meetings with the Indiana club, and the second time netting 3 goals against the boys in blue. So up next, Rhode Island FC will travel to number 1 overall seed and 2024 USL Championship Players Shield winners Louisville City FC for an Eastern Conference semifinal match on Saturday, November the 9th at 7:30 p.m., which they actually have a pretty good chance of winning, as they have beat this team before. So,
all right. Well, big up to Rhode Island and Connor. I went to their first game ever, and hopefully I could get back to another one next season.
Yes, definitely. And for the weather we're looking at today, it's going to be like more sun than cloud, unfortunately, with a chance of an odd shower or 2. So, just wrap up, stay warm. And as always, just be mindful on those roads. And we got a high of 73 degrees today.
All righty. You got a days of the year, or should I get one?
Hey, my days of the year was election day. What you got?
Oh, right. Okay. I mean, yeah, that pretty much is it. I guess we could just ask the question one more time. It's U.S. election day. But real quickly, before we go to break and attempt to bring in Jason Smith, we've got a question. Renee Simmons, where do I find this interview? I missed it yesterday. I was attending the relative's funeral. Condolences to you. You could go to Media Maya on YouTube. You can find it there. And just wanted to go to the audience, and we appreciate this. Tanya Cheeseman sending her condolences to Karen and her family, as well as Shawnette Bell. We are a family, and Renee Simmons as well. So definitely, Auntie Karen, we care about you. Real quickly on the conversation, is election day in the U.S. Renee Simmons did say, America never wanted a black president. Now we're looking at a black female candidate. I believe Trump, unfortunately, will win, but hopefully the angels surround Kamala. Skeptical with Elon's backing.
They didn't want a black president, but they got one.
It's too close to call. Tomorrow's conversation, I don't even think we're going to have a outright winner. Again, my prediction is that Donald Trump's team will claim victory, like they did in 2020. I don't know. It's close, man. I feel like Georgia is going back to Trump. I feel that Georgia's going back to Trump. I just feel that way. Georgia's a big state. Pennsylvania, man, that's a key state. The Democrats seem to be in the lead right now, but more Republicans voted early. So that's one to watch. I don't know. I think it's going to be a long night. And real quickly, before we go to break, Shamari Talbot Warrior says, I can't trust these people who care about removing a party. Mark Bean, he means, just lost for power. That's why he's rabid about moving PLP. He deserves better. I actually disagree. I think Mark Bean is more interested in removing David Burt, not the PLP. Unfortunately, they're one and the same. But I actually trust those people more. I think you said 2 different things there. You said his loss for power and removing the PLP. For me, removing the PLP isn't a loss for power. It's just saying they don't deserve to govern the people anymore. I believe I can do a better job. At the end of the day, I get him. I understand him. I think the PLP current administration has been the worst government in my lifetime. The worst in my lifetime. I'm talking about Jennifer Smith's administrations, Ewart Brown, Paula Cox, Sir John. This is the worst administration in my lifetime. I had people reach out last week, 2 people with the same question. Can you ask our audience how their lives have improved since 2017? We'll discuss that in a subsequent episode. But this is the worst government in my lifetime. No honest person can tell me that paying what we pay for all things that we pay for economically, we're in a better space. Nobody could tell me that having this government that's fought for people's rights back in opposition is still depriving people today of simple rights. Don't tell me that this is not the worst administration we've ever had in Bermuda. I'm going to take a break before I go on a long rant, boy. And then might get in trouble and might give me a lecture after the show. 2:34, we'll be back.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses, whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment. We provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazok Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Hey, Daily Hour community, it's that time of year again. The Daily Hour annual survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like more of, and how we can make your viewing experience better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps to shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait. Click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time. Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Maya be dancing, but you guys don't see her. She be dancing, like when the music's playing, she's in the back doing all that. Like I catch them doing it, and I wasn't blessed with the black rhythm, so I don't really do too much moving. I thought you were like, whatever. Anyway, welcome back to the big show. My philosophy, I'm Jamal Hartman. Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Don't forget, fill out the survey, subscribe to the website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Detective Chief Inspector Jason Smith, and we're going to be talking about cybercrime. Maya and Teo have reported a lot over the last year about cybercrime in Bermuda. Maya, did we ever really get any information about the cyber attack on the government last year? Like, what happened?
No, we have not gotten any completed information. I guess the investigation is still going on. Is the last thing I do my reporting. I know that Senator in the OBA, he was quite on it regularly, but also, Senator Dukudo, but also Minister Darrell was also quite speaking up for the fact that it's still an investigation that's undergoing. I have to find the most recent on it because it's been a while since I think I've gotten an update on that one. Okay. All right. I promise we're not going to ask Detective Chief Inspector Jason Smith about that. All right. Well, we may. You all may. Anyway, let's give him a warm TDH welcome to the show, folks. Is this his first time? I think it's his first time. Yeah. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Is it? I don't think so. Is it? We'll find out.
I don't think he like us like that. I think it's his first time. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. I gotta ask, is this your first time on the show?
It is.
See, yeah.
I've never been invited before.
Is that right? Oh, okay. Well, you know what? You're invited anytime you want to stop by. But first of all, thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing this. It's an early show. We know you're busy. Real quickly, before we jump into today's conversation, you're a police officer where people have seen you in the news a lot. They've seen your name from all types of investigations. What is your actual role within the service current day?
So currently, I'm the Detective Chief Inspector in charge of the Specialist Investigations Department. So basically, that is the financial crime unit, the drugs unit, the gang team, and also property management.
Got it. Okay, so you cover a lot of stuff. Okay. All right, cybercrime. As said just now, Teo and Maya have reported quite a lot of cybercrime in the last probably 2 years, not even just since the cyber attack on government. But why has cybercrime become an area of focus for the Bermuda Police Service?
Well, I think when you look at cybercrime and the impact that it has on the wider community, often, like you mentioned earlier, my previous role, I dealt with a lot of the murder investigations, and that grabs a lot of attention because it's sensational a lot of times, and obviously there's people's lives that have been affected by that. But equally, cybercrime has the same debilitating effect on businesses, on individuals. So you would have seen in the news media reports that the police have released that there are some cases that people are reporting losses of 50,000, 100,000, and so when we look at that, we realize that this is a huge impact, and we need to give it the attention that it deserves, so that one, we can make people more aware of cyber attacks, fraud schemes, and how that they can prevent it, so that they don't become the victim and suffer loss.
Gotcha.
So, talking about people either like becoming victims, can you kind of list out sort of the types of cyber attacks that do happen, and which one is probably the most frequently occurring in Bermuda?
So I would say phishing is probably one of the most popular one, and that tends to affect quite a large number of people. So, when we say phishing, what we're talking about is, often somebody masquerading as a trustworthy entity. Normally that comes through things like emails, websites. People get phone calls where somebody's purporting to be part of a charity or purporting to be a member of a particular bank. So someplace that people do financial transactions with. And they get people to give them that information, their personal information, which then they're able to take that. And then that creates a whole lot of havoc, wreaks havoc on people's lives. So that's one probably of the most popular forms. The other one, which goes unreported, is where businesses are victims or attacked. And oftentimes we don't hear about that because businesses do not report that for a number of reasons. And then, another population is the seniors. And that's a big one too, because a lot of times these bad actors, as we call them, they are preying on the vulnerability of seniors. A lot of seniors are home, they're retired, and they probably want to talk to somebody. So the bad actors take advantage of that, and they come in. And then what we're beginning to see is just the impact of AI, artificial intelligence, where the sophistication of some of these networks is such that they're able to clone people's face and voice, and be able to set up a platform where a business, mostly businesses we're seeing, believes that they're talking to a particular vendor when it's actual fact it's AI, and then get scammed. So those are some of the big areas of concern and victims. People have been victimized by cyber attack.
You know what? That actually reminds me. was watching this news story about this mother who said that she was getting called as if her daughter was like being held hostage, and it
Yes.
sounded like her daughter and everything. But then she immediately like called her daughter afterwards after the person was like saying that you need to give money, blah blah. And her daughter was actually just upstairs in her house.
Yeah.
And that was like really scary. So now she had learned like to implement some sort of safety word with her child, so
Yes.
that if this ever happens again, they know that if it's really her or not. So that's like something I have been like saw that is becoming more aggressively happening. I don't know if you could speak to a case like that actually being played out in Bermuda, but another question for you here is like in relation to the unit that the Bermuda Police Service is now putting up, like what type of data will the unit be collecting?
Right. So I don't want to get too much into the actual unit, the cybercrime unit. I don't want to get too much into that just because it's in a sort of developmental stage. But what I will say is that we do have within the BPS at the moment, capabilities, and we're continuously to get training in this area to be able to detect, and then investigate. Go after some of these bad actors, which involves a lot of tactical support. But that's the sort of space that we're currently in.
Can you talk a little bit about what type of training? Like, will anyone be specialized in anything specific?
Right. So, myself and Acting Chief Inspector Tomlinson actually went to Brazil a couple weeks ago in August, where we participated in a, cyber conference, which is actually quite interesting. And with some of the world leaders in this fight against cybercrime. So the information that was obtained from that, and also the connections that were made, I think is very, very important to the way that we're moving forward. So it opened up our understanding to a lot of the means, the abilities, not just of the bad actors, but also of different agencies, different, government departments that are fighting against those who are involved in cybercrime. And you got an awareness of just how wide of a network this really is, and the technology that is involved and the capabilities of these people. It's just amazing. And so we got back from that a lot of tools, and that's why I said we're in this developmental stage where we're putting together resources from the training that we received, and the training is ongoing. And so in September, I was in Miami for another conference that was dealing with the investigations of things like cybercrime, terrorist financing as well. So we are beginning as a service, as an organization, to again look at the impact cybercrime has on the community, and then we're trying and preparing ourselves to be able to deal with and also give public advice on how the public can protect themselves from these bad actors.
Well, what is the impact exactly? Like, do you guys have a number or range as to how many cyber attacks has happened within the community, like this year alone?
Right. And so, like I said a couple minutes ago, what often happens, so those reports from things like, phishing, we get those calls, right? Because that involves a wide sector of the community. Those are just, there's everyday people, everyday users that are doing transactions. And so if I were to say what that number would look like, in terms of what's being reported to us on a weekly basis, we're probably getting anywhere between 5 and 10 reports of people who have been victims of of the phishing. Now the bigger ones, those cyber attacks where you're talking about bad actors taking over or hacking into businesses systems, we don't get a lot of those reports. And as I said, there's a lot of reasons why businesses do not report on those. So if I were to talk about just the everyday issues, I would say we're averaging between 5 and 10 reports a week, and those reports range from people discovering $100 being missing from their account, up to we just had a report a couple of weeks ago where someone had reported somewhere in the region of $50,000 that they were scammed out of because they thought that they were participating in a investment scheme, end up being a fraud, and they were a victim.
Wow. So what happens in most of these cases that are financial like that? Like, do these people generally get the money back, or is it just a complete loss?
I've always wondered that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, that's sometimes a matters between the individual and the banks. The ability of the organization to trace, those who are involved. That's what we're working on, and in most cases, those bad actors are not in Bermuda. So unfortunately, when you talk about those big numbers, those $50,000 numbers, those $80,000 numbers, the reality is that in most cases, yes, that's just going to be a complete loss. But obviously, if there's things like someone's credit card has been compromised, then I think the banks, there's some recourse there, with the banks. I tell you, there was another case we had this summer that was really, really interesting. It just goes to show the extent of some of these bad actors. We had a senior who fell victim, and actually, she was duped out of something like $150,000 in cash. Imagine that. And it wasn't until her relative, who had some responsibility for her accounts, checked that and realized there was a significant loss. And when they questioned her about it, it was too late. The money had been gone. So cases like that, that's money that's just unfortunately gone. The chances of her recovering would be very, very slim to none.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, my jaw's on the floor. That is a huge loss.
Yes.
I want, and I'm grateful for that question, because I think something like that would make me. I had an incident earlier this year. I've actually had 2 incidents. I had to get 3 new cards this year, I think. But in saying this, I didn't realize until you said it just now that we lose it. Like if the bank doesn't settle with us. Now, I do wonder if there's some way we can insure, but that would be more money out of our pockets that we probably don't have. But that's so unfair. So I guess what I take out of what you just said, folks, stay on top of your stuff.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at prevention, one of the things that you've got. So, for instance, I think it was last week. I had an email that popped up purporting to be from my bank, and it was asking me for some information because of a transaction. And what was interesting about that was when that email came, actually, I was carrying something the day before. So, it almost kind of made sense. But then when you read through the email, a lot of the things you find that with these bad actors is that most of them, they're from different parts of the world. So English may not necessarily be their first language, and their writing is not good, it's not clear. So those are telltale signs that when you see emails coming through, and it's just bad grammar, word placing is all over the place. Those are kind of telltale signs that you need to look at and examine. And I think as we often say, listen, question those people that are calling, because when you question them, a lot of times they won't be able to answer. And I'll give you a case in point. When I was in Brazil, there was a particular case study that we looked at, and it dealt with artificial intelligence. And it was a company that was having a meeting set up. It was a Zoom meeting with a particular vendor. And on that meeting was some key staff and also the CEO. But what people didn't realize was that the CEO actually could not make it. An emergency had came up, and the meeting, went on. But even his staff didn't know that he was there. And now whether this was choreographed by the bad actors, I don't know. But the AI was actually the CEO. So they had cloned him, put him in that meeting, and they had this meeting. And it wasn't until they got to a particular stage where some of the key staff were aware, because the pricing changed, and they questioned that, and then they got the answer. So the AI person was purporting to be the CEO, and he couldn't answer. That's something that raised their alarm, right? And was able to realize. In fact, they made a phone call. They found out that the CEO wasn't on the call; that he was at this other emergency. Mm-hmm. So it's important to ask questions. Take your time, because when you know what your personal finances is, if somebody's calling you and you haven't ordered something, you're not involved in something, then those are signs that hey, something's not right. And so when you see that, just hang up the phone, do not respond, and don't give out your personal information.
But real quickly, Brian, before you jump back in, it's crazy because kind of got scammed last week. I'm being honest, transparent, if you will, because my lack of patience, I didn't have the instructions to apply for my visa correctly from the Kenyan government. So what did I do? I just went on Google and hit something and gave them my passport number and credit card, then realized, hold on, it's not supposed to be $107. It's $30 for the ETA. And I shared that because what you just said is so easy to follow, but sometimes even we're so focused on just want to do what we want to do. Like I knew better. Maya knows me. I know better most of the time. But as Keitha, my business partner, would tell you, dog, slow down.
Yeah.
You just said read the emails. I get these emails, Netflix, AT&T, and I open it, and the first thing you see is a grammatical error. It isn't real. So I've messed up a lot this year because my brain's moving so fast, and I think sometimes just slowing down and digesting. So thank you for that insight. Sorry, Maya.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was about to say, I think maybe even if we have our next meetings, we should have a password that everyone has to say when they enter in now to make sure everyone's not AI. Because like that is actually quite a scary predicament to be in. But again, we have fast passed this whole new generation. We are very much so into AI now. It's like taking over. So like to know that it can like do a step further with these cyber attacks is scary, but it's something that we all need to be like very aware of. Like how the police is having this cyber crime unit, and Jamal, I think remember when we were at NAB, they were even talking about having like specific groups of people in your office that focus on AI. But that might actually become like, we always talk about these things might take over, but you're going to need people to fill these new roles and positions. It's just another thing that everyone should probably be cautious of. Now, I do want to go back a little bit because you talk about how businesses don't always want to report, and you said it twice, so I'm curious, why not?
Well, they would obviously have their reasons. I mean, sometimes it might be that people are embarrassed, or they just don't want their customers to know that they have been hacked. There could be a variety of reasons, but you would have seen in one of our press releases a couple of weeks ago, in fact, October, to do with Cyber Awareness Month, where we actually, re-emphasize that there is a portal that people, businesses can report in on when they have been attacked. It's anonymous, so you're not actually to say the business. But what we're trying to do with that is that obviously helps us to gather intelligence and statistics, so that we do have a better appreciation, for just how wide throughout the community some of these attacks are.
All right. So I just want to ask one more, like when it comes to these scams, just reiterating again, how can people kind of avoid or prevent getting attacked?
Well, look, so I moved obviously from the sort of murder investigation side of policing to this, which is a new arena for me. And, I'm finding it's very tactical. So, we could go into a whole lot of tactical, phrases and talk about things from a tactical point of view. But look, I think the simplest way is this. We all know what our business transactions are and where we're doing businesses, what organizations that we are a part of. So, when you see somebody calling or an email coming up about, you being an investor in a particular company, and you're not investing in that company, then just walk away from it. And Jamal, you said it yourself. We've all, felt victims of these attacks where, your life is busy, you see something pop up, you don't really take the time to read it, you just respond to it quickly. So sometimes just slowing down that pace, right? And just looking and approaching this in a simplest terms is, if you're not familiar with it, if it just doesn't, ring a bell for something that you're involved in, because you know what your business sides are, what you're dealing with, then just walk away. And it's always helpful to come back another day or another hour or another minute, when you kind of slow down the pace and just look at it. I'm sure most people at the end of the day, they take a little time to reflect on what happened. I do it. So at the end of the day, you go home, you may start reading through emails and you start seeing clearer. And I think that's probably just the key, right? Just slow down the pace. Know yourself, and you know what you're involved in and what you're not. And just really real simple, make those extra steps, ask questions, and think twice.
We had something on Instagram real quickly. Sorry. Shaz Freestyle said, "Yep, I got a call from my cell phone provider allegedly, but I knew it wasn't offering me some extra discounts. You just have to be diligent." And saying that, in the United States, I have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile actually does something. I'm not sure if they do this in Bermuda, but they let you know it's possible spam, right?
Yeah.
When they call. Now, I know this is kind of beyond you, but I wonder if there's policy or legislation that we can encourage our government to pass to give people like heads up just from a phone perspective, right? As far as email, that may be harder to control. As far as like, I think what you've done is probably the best we can do, what you've said today. Like just tell people, be vigilant. Watch out for spelling errors, grammatical errors. Also, one of the things I want to add is check the email. So that says such and such from your Daily Hour account. If it doesn't say dailyhour.com, if it says the Daily Hour at comstop.com, it's not us. What's comstop, right? So watch the at. What comes after at is a key one to look for. And that's what I would tell anyone. If it doesn't have at that company, it's probably not that company.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Look, I want to go back into like talking about some estimates. So how much money do you think like Bermuda has actually lost this year due to cyber attacks?
So yeah, that's a good question, and preparation for this morning. So we looked at some figures, right? So we I would estimate that up to this point, we're talking about, and I mean these are losses. I'm not talking about businesses because we don't really have a lot of statistics with that because businesses not necessarily reporting to us, but just individuals, members of the community. We're talking about close to about $1.1 million right now.
Wow.
And that's just in cash. And remember, these are cases that are reported to us. So there's still a lot of people who are victims, but they're not reporting it. And then there's businesses that are not reporting it. So, we're just talking about people who've actually called us and said, "Hey, I've been scammed, or someone's taking I've sent money someplace." We're talking about 1.1 million right now.
That's insane. I wasn't expecting. I mean, you know what? Yeah. Let's go to the audience. We've got some questions from the audience. Audience, if you have any questions, comments, send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. Mark C. Phillips is asking, Mr. Smith, do you feel we have to improve our cybersecurity here in Bermuda? I mean, based on what you said, yes.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it does.
Yes. Then he goes on to ask, does the BPS partner with any local cybersecurity companies in Bermuda?
Right. So in preparation for what we're looking to move into, myself, I've had meetings just about 2 weeks ago with a particular company discussing some of those options. Yes.
All righty. We have Charles H. Justice II. He says, in the U.S., businesses are required to report a cyber attack within a certain period of time. Now, you just said, before I finish this question, that you, based on what's reported, it's 1.1. So I'm guessing, again, it's not required in Bermuda, but he says, I don't believe Bermuda has a similar law. Would you be in favor of a similar law? I don't know if he can share what's in favor of him, but maybe he can. Let us know.
Yeah, I think I would stay away from that question. That seems to be a matter for those who sit at the House of Parliament to discuss, and I think I'll leave it there.
All righty. What before you head out, what are some of the resources that maybe the Bermuda Police Service or others that exist in Bermuda companies, like where can people go to learn more to know how to protect themselves from cybercrime?
So again, we sent out in Cyber Awareness Month in October. Mm-hmm. We sent out some information there to advise the public on different things to do. You might have seen that. Talked about what hacking is and malware and phishing, and then it also talked about some tips, never to share your passwords, keep software up to date, the two-factor authentication, that's adding a separate layer of security to your accounts, by adding different codes. And so that's, so we give advisories. I think, you find that the banks send out advisories. And so and then, a lot of information comes from what we're doing here today. So I do think that there's a lot of, information out there. And that's like I said earlier, right? It's simple. There's a lot of tactical stuff, but I think if you just look at it and approach it simple, is that if you're not involved in something, you know what your business transactions are. So you see something that's unusual, stay away from it. I just think that's the best advice. Because the way that technology is moving, we're not going to change the pace of technology. And we realize that it's helpful to us. It speeds up the processes in a lot of ways, but we just got to be mindful that same technology, when it's abused, it can have some dire consequences.
Yeah, I think this is I'd like to talk to you for another 2 hours on this, because I remember, and they still do this. Like if you go to a gas station in the U.S. and you use your card, people put in machines where they can read your card numbers.
Yes.
So on. There's so many different forms of this that I think we're just scratching the surface. But in saying that, I think one of the things I've gotten most from this conversation, and is that a lot of us need to make sure that we are looking out for our elders.
Yes.
We need to make sure we're looking out for our elders, because technology is evolving, it's changing. Even we can have a whole conversation about AI, right? Maya hearing that, it's like, it's they don't know, and I don't say this to be disrespectful, right?
Yeah.
The elders in my life, they honestly don't know the difference. They don't. And so because of that, we have to do our part and say, look, that's not real. If they ask you, hey, did you receive this? No, we haven't sent that, or that hasn't been sent. Or make sure, well, send it to me first, let me check, right? Because right now in the US, like, you will get emails saying, oh, this is what your bill is this month.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're at the stage where, I'll use a company like the utilities company in Bermuda, right? Yeah. You click on, you got something from someone who's made up a fake one in the same name of the company. And that's what we have in the US. And what's that saying earlier? I got it right earlier this morning. When the US catches a cold, Bermuda sneeze. No,
when the US sneezes, Bermuda catches a
cold. Yeah.
Something and I want people to understand what you said more than anything, this part right here. Most of the scammers are not based in Bermuda.
Yeah.
So that means that if it's happening elsewhere and then they figure out, oh, this is a new space, they will attack.
Yeah. And when I was in Brazil, one of the things, in the conference, what we discovered too, most hackers, particularly when people getting into hacking companies, major companies, they try to infiltrate that system, their systems, early hours of the morning. That's always seems to be the thing. So you get those different time zones, and you're right. We all, and when you talk about seniors, and I like this topic about seniors because you think about their home, they want somebody to talk to, and so they get a phone call and they're just enjoying to have somebody to talk to, and then these people they bait them in. What we're also seeing is that what happens a lot of times is these bad actors will, and this happened in one particular case involving a senior, where this person was sort of representing a charity. And they called, and they spent a couple of minutes talking to the senior, and they got him to send $1,000 the first time, and they realized, oh, okay, that works, so let's go again. And then they called back a couple of days later and said, thank you so and so for your help, and then the numbers increased, and by the time they recognized that, hold on, this was a scam, they were in the thousands. So when these bad actors get involved, they do test runs, and then they see what they can do. And then, just I think it was last weekend, we got a call about somebody who called in, and then they gave their bank account information. They tried to log out, and they couldn't. So that was the bad actor had taken over their account, and before they knew it, they were duped out of $11,000.
Wow. It reminds me, I seen Suzanne Ingham's comment at Scammers from Nigeria. I hung up on the scum BPS inform number block. Teo and I, back in 2008, I got an email from someone, happened to be in Nigeria. They told me I won $1 million. So Teo said, we're calling them live on air. And it went on in history as one of the funniest conversations in the history of Bermuda radio. But at that time, we're talking about 2008, right?
Yeah.
16 years ago. That's what, I mean, you know, me, I'm thinking $1 million. I didn't think I won anything. I was like, this person trying to get me. And it was one of those wake-up calls for us early on in this.
Yes.
As funny as it was. Mr. Smith, thank you so much for your time today. Definitely want to have you back again. I mean, I feel like you've been avoiding us, you know. You need no invite. You have a very important role in the community. We appreciate what you're doing. And hopefully when you guys get the unit set up, we can come back and discuss, you know, what that looks like and for the protection of Bermudians. But thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy your day.
Alrighty. Jason Smith, folks, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like if you appreciated that conversation. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this. In 57 seconds. Stick with us.
Hey, Daily Hour community. It's that time of year again. The Daily Hour's annual survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like to see more of, and how we can make your viewing experience even better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps us shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait. Click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Here with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Alrighty, thanks again to the Bermuda Police Service and Detective Chief Inspector Jason Smith for stopping by this morning for a conversation on cyber crime. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please do us a favor. It costs you nothing. Thumbs up, love, like, make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Hit us up on the tube. We do share the conversations after if you know people who just want to see that part of the show. So you can check that out over on our YouTube. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, Maya, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Let me get my music going. Okay. Very easy question, Maya.
Stop saying that, because if I don't get it, I'm going to feel bad for the rest of the day.
Okay, fine. Here we go. In honor of the U.S. presidential election today, Maya, it's a remember when. What year did Barack Obama win the U.S. presidential election to become known as the first Black president of the United States?
I should know this. I remember playing it. 2011? I don't know. 2008, I had it in my mind. I was like, no, it couldn't be that year because I had just graduated primary school. I swear I remember going to an event for it. That's why I was like really trying to think hard just now and dig deep. I can't believe it was 2008. I had it right in my mind. I was like, I couldn't have been that young.
She said primary school.
Relax. But I just, it was past 2008. I just saw it. So I was like, I remember going to, it was something that someone had set up. I remember going to it too and watching it, but I don't remember being that young.
Yeah, 2008.
2008. Oh my dear. Wow. Yeah.
2012. No, it was.
Yeah, I was like, it has to be a little bit higher than that, right? But he did.
That's when he ran his second term.
Thank you. Yeah, he did have 2 terms. Yeah. Oh, was that long ago? 2008.
You're old, man. You're old. You're old. You're old. You're old. Anyway, let's wrap up today's discussion. Obviously, U.S. presidential election tomorrow. We'll be probably talking about a possible winner and then the conversation about cybercrime.
Today's just going to be a really big day for everyone in the world, not just the US. So it's going to really affect a lot of change, like we've been saying already, and whatever laws that whatever parties going to be putting into place will take effect everywhere in different places. But in terms of cybersecurity, I think that conversation is so important. I think that we are just scratching the surface of how detrimental it can be. The fact that we've lost $1.1 million just from the people of Bermuda, that's not government, that's not businesses, because businesses aren't reporting, that is people. Like, that's us on a day-to-day basis. Look, make sure your seniors in your life flip phones only. And if they need emails to be sent to themselves, I mean, if you are worried for it, have only your email be used on the behalf, because I mean, that's something that I would do for my grandma, and I would be upset if someone was to scam Ruthie. I would be very upset. So
I'm laughing because you said flip phones only.
Flip phones only, honestly, like that, and the home phones,
girl.
But yeah, it's just that's a conversation that really needs to be looked into more. AI has really been like increasing. Cybersecurity is so important. Everyone slow down when you get these emails. Don't feel like you have to respond right away. Look, if it's that important, someone will find a way to reach you. So don't
be like me. Now, in terms of the conversation, U.S. election, I'm going to be following it closely. I am proud to have voted in this election. I feel like it's the first time where I actually felt like I was voting for someone, not against another. And that says a lot. So I'm glad I was able to contribute. Whatever the result is, I don't think much is going to change for me individually. But I think when it comes to elections, it's bigger than you as an individual. It's about the people you love, the greater community. So we'll see what that looks like at the end of tonight. Or not. Looks like we may have to wait a couple days, if not weeks, with the results from Arizona, which, if it ends up being a landslide, wouldn't matter anyway. As far as the conversation on cybersecurity, another thing that I don't know if was said, but one of the latest tricks, it's not a trick, it's just common knowledge now, is changing your passwords often.
Yeah.
That's another key thing. We shouldn't still have the same password you had 3 years ago. Change your passwords. Use some characters if you're allowed in passwords. Again, if you're not sure, don't click it. If you're not sure, don't click it. I'm gonna be real with you. The way my brain works, I get caught up sometimes. I do press some things and I shouldn't. And so I've had to go through that annoying process of getting new credit cards a couple of times this year, and even my visa situation with Kenya. Use my examples. Kristen Souza said, thank you, Jamal, for being honest about your experience too. Everyone thinks that won't happen to me, but it's too easy these days. It is. So I encourage people to be vigilant, stay vigilant, and look out for the seniors. Look out for those who are most vulnerable when it comes to this. Ma, do you have any daily inspiration for us?
I do. This one is a quote. It says, "The people who cast the votes don't decide an election. The people who count the votes do." That's from Joseph Stalin.
Oh, wow. Well, I want to make sure you got some honest people there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I say this, it's not about who wins the election. That's not how government works. It's how the people hold them accountable that determines how we're governed. Anyway, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Maya Palacio. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.